Good morning and welcome to KCPS Homeroom. I'm Justin Robinson, and today is for 5th and 6th grade students. We will start off with English, then math, science, African American history, and finally Chinese. Hope you enjoyed today's class. Let's get ready to learn with Miss Zeke in English.
My name is Mrs. Zeke, and I am an English teacher for today. I teach over at Southeast High School in Kansas City Public Schools. And today we are talking about theme. It has been my pleasure to be with you here over the last few weeks where we've gone over things like ancient Chinese culture and history and the importance of finding the identity of a narrator. Today we're going to build on that by looking at our passage from last week and determining the theme of that passage. We will also practice looking at it again and identifying the theme of this narrative text. Today, I encourage you to grab a piece of paper and something to write with. I'm going to teach you a very fun acronym that will help you understand theme and identify theme, and I want you to be able to practice it at home. So grab a piece of scrap paper or a notebook and something to write with. First, let's look at the standard. We always start with this. In Missouri, by the time you get to 6th grade, you should be able to use appropriate text and determine the theme of a text while citing evidence of its development. You will also need to summarize. We need to be careful here because theme and summary are not synonyms. They are not the same thing, but oftentimes finding one will help you with the other. Today, our focus is theme. Let's first define theme. Theme is an observation about life that the author is trying to share with their reader. If you are reading something and you realize that there's a life lesson in that reading, that is your theme. We can also think about theme in this acronym SLIME. So let's pull apart SLIME and then use it to help us identify the theme of our story. So the S in SLIME stands for the subject, for the topic of the story. L is the lesson that is being taught. I and M is the idea or the message behind it. And E is the evidence. Can you pull a sentence? Can you pull a quote? Can you paraphrase and use evidence to support the SLIM or the theme that you have found? If you want to take just 10 seconds, write down the definition of SLIME to help you as we review our passage from last week. Again, S is subject, L is lesson, IM is idea or message, and E is evidence. All right, now that you have your SLIME definition, let's review our passage from last week. Oh yes, of course. I always think of slime as that gooey stuff that you play with your hands, and a visual always helps us. So there is your visual for slime. So last week we were talking about ancient China in this parable that we found about neon and the story of the Lunar New Year. It's interesting because we are celebrating the Lunar New Year on February 12th. So this comes at the perfect time. So let's just do a quick reread. I'm actually going to let you read it if you didn't read it with us last week, but I'm going to just summarize it for you now so we can get to the application aspect of it. So remember, there was this monster in China, and every year around the Lunar New Year, he would go around scaring people, and everybody was nervous around this time because they didn't want to be afraid, or they didn't want to be scared by this monster. Then one day, a villager happened to be wearing a red tunic, and when the monster saw him, the red tunic startled the monster, and he fell down a hill, hit a whole bunch of things on his way. And the villager was wearing, he had fabulous luck. He was wearing this tunic, but when he was approached by Nian, he accidentally dropped his bucket, and the bucket tumbled after him and made all this noise, and it scared the monster even more that he ran away for good. The villagers never saw him again. And oftentimes you'll see now in Chinese culture that they wear the color red to signify luck and celebrate the year ahead. So there is just a quick summary of our story. So let's try now to identify the theme. What is the author trying to teach us here? So write down slime. Try to fill it in, and I've got my handy timer here. We will time ourselves for 1 minute. Go ahead. Thirty seconds. Do your best in 15. 5. All right, our time is up. Let's see how you did. Let's compare your thoughts on your paper to what I have pulled for our acronym SLIME and the theme. Our subject is the monster and the villager. We don't get a name for the villager, so we can continue to call him such. L is the lesson or what was happening, and it was the accident that happened. And the idea or the message behind it all is that you need to make the most out of an accident. A lesson can be learned. You never know how it might impact you or others or the future. And then our evidence, I pulled this quote from the story. Villagers never saw him again, and that's why people in China believe the color red signifies luck. This just shows the impact of your actions, and even something so silly as an accident of wearing a particular color could have an impact on yourself, on others, and in the future. And so making the most of it and sharing those stories, I think, is something that the author was trying to convey. So let's wrap it all up in a beautiful sentence. The theme of the story is that accidents can happen, but oftentimes you can make more out of them than just a particular moment, whether it be something that impacts you or others in the future. So make the most of everything that happens. And that is our theme from this story. I hope that this is helpful to you, that as you go about your education in English class, whether it be now or in the future in 12th grade when you see me, that you will always remember slime as an easy way to help you identify the theme of a story. It has been my pleasure to be with you here today. I look forward to our time next week. Be safe and stay warm.
Hi, my name is John Hatch, and this is a 5th, 6th grade math lesson on solving problems using unit rates. For this lesson, what you need is a math notebook, a pencil, and a 4-function calculator. And if you need to go get that, that's fine. We're going to cover the standard and then a review from the last couple weeks on ratios. The standard for today is RPA3B, Solve Unit Rate Problems. To review from the last couple weeks, we first started talking about ratios. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers, also known as values or quantities. It could be written in word form, colon form, or fraction form. And as you can see the pictures there, it shows 4 salads to 1 egg. And even though it can be written in those 3 forms, it's all said as the word form, 4 to 1. A rate is a special type of ratio that compares two quantities with unlike units of measure, and that unit rates compare a quantity to one unit of another quantity. So for this, when we're talking about rates, we have Gatorade bottles here. For $20, there are 24 of them. Over here we have 6 bottles for $8. We might need to answer the question, what is the cost of 10 bottles of Gatorade? And here you can see this fancy ad that says, buy 6 bottles for $8. Well, how much is that per bottle? And that's how we find the unit rate. So if we know 6 bottles is $8, we need to divide until we get down to one of those numbers being a 1. So you can divide it by 2 and you get 3 bottles is $4. And if you divide by 6, then you get 1.33333333 on a calculator. But since we're talking money, we're only going to call it $1.33 and use only the first 2 digits beyond the decimal. So we know that 1 bottle costs $1.33. The question asked, what is the cost of 10 bottles of Gatorade? So at this point, we're going to multiply $1.33 times 10 for 10 bottles, and we come up with $13.30. While I was working on this, I was thinking, well, another way to get 10 is to add those numbers that we had earlier. We had 6 bottles for $8, 3 bottles for $4, and 1 bottle for $1.33. The 6 plus 3 plus 1, in this case, equals 10. So if we add those costs, 8 plus 4 is 12, plus $1 is $13, and there's your $13.33. So this next question is, what is the cost of 16 balloons for a party? Buy 3 balloons for $5. So the cost is 3 balloons at $5. Well, there's not a good factor that goes into both those. So we're going to divide the $5 by 3, and we come up with $1.66. Because there's a whole bunch of 6s behind there, we're going to round that up to $1.67. So we divided to get that, but to answer the question, what is the cost of 16 balloons for a party? We're going to multiply the $1.67 times 16, and we get $26. On the calculator, it says 66 cents, but we're going to round that up to $26.67. For a party, what is the cost of 26 cupcakes for that party? Well, we found 4 cupcakes for $6. Boy, those are fancy looking cupcakes. And we're going to reduce that down until we can get a unit rate. So we divide by 2, and we find that would be $3. When we divide the $6 by 4, we get 1 cupcake equals $1.50. So our unit rate is $1.50. But to find out the cost for 26 cupcakes, we're now going to multiply the $1.50 times 26, and we get $39 for those cupcakes. Hey, let's try a few together now. The Science Club wants to feed birds. 4 pounds of birdseed costs $12. How much will 10 pounds of birdseed cost? Well, let's make a chart like we did on the other examples. And we have 1 column for birdseed, and we have 1 column for cost. And for the $4, 4 pounds, and the $12, we're going to find factors that go into both. So we can divide by 2, and we find that 2 pounds equals $6. We can divide by 4 and find 1 pound, there's a unit, equals $3. Now that we know that, we're trying to find out how much does 10 pounds cost. So we're going to multiply the unit rate of $3 times the 10, and we come up with $30. Another way is that we could add to get there, because 4 pounds plus 4 pounds plus 2 pounds equals 10. So $12 plus $12 is $24, plus 6 is $30. So you can either multiply to get there, or you can add. Let's check this one out. The Science Club wants to feed hummingbirds as well. 6 feeders cost $24. What is the total cost of 11 feeders? We're going to make a chart, and we have feeders and cost, and we find common factors, and we can divide by that. So when we divide by 2, we have 3 feeders for $12. When we divide by 6, we have 1 feeder costs $4. So our unit rate is $4. But now we want to find the cost for 11 feeders. We're going to multiply. So $4 times 11 is $44. Well, let's look at this one. The Science Club wants to feed squirrels. 24 acorns cost $14. How much do 58 acorns cost? We're going to use a chart, and we have one column for acorns and one column for cost. 24 acorns, $14. When we divide by 2, a common factor, we get 12 is $7. When we divide by 4, we get 6 acorns or $3.50. But we're getting into a tough one where we need a calculator for sure now. When we divide by 8, we get 3 acorns for $1.75. And when we divide, we can get 1 acorn down to 58 cents. So now that we have it down as 58 cents, we're going to multiply that to find out how much 58 acorns cost. And just by chance, 58 cents times 58 is $33.64. That's where they came out to be the same number. Okay, so we come back to this. Which was the better purchase? We started talking before about 24 bottles for $20 and 6 bottles for $8. Well, I can answer it a couple different ways. One, if I only have like $10, I can't really buy the 24 bottles. So it's kind of best to buy the 6 bottles for $8. But it's not really your best purchase because when you look at the unit cost, it's $1.33. If you could buy the 24 bottles at $20, now it's 83 cents per bottle. So you're saving 50 cents per bottle. At first, it doesn't sound like much, but if you were to buy like 100 or 1,000 bottles, that money would come back to you really quickly as far as what the difference is, and you'd be able to make a lot more money. Well, let's try some on our own. We have 6 Hubba Bubba for $12, and the unit price is $2. We have 4 Beyblades for $28, and the unit price is $7. We have 8 Slime and Putties for $26, and the unit price is $3.25. Let's give you a minute 30 to find out how much each of those, how much it would cost for 20 Hubba Bubba, 10 Beyblades, and 30 Slime and Putty. Beyblades, we see that the unit rate is $7, and if it's times 10, 7 times 10 is $70. Good job. For the next one, the Hubba Bubba, the unit rate is $2, and to multiply 2 times 20 is $40. For the last one, we have 8 Slime and Putty. We want to know how much 30 would cost when it's $3.25, and the answer was $97.50. So a rate is a special kind of ratio that compares 2 quantities with unlike units of measure, and that unit rate compares a quantity to 1 unit of another quantity. So when you can find the unit rate, it's really important because 1, you can answer math questions. But like in the Gatorade example, you can now make wiser decisions with your money. And that's better for you to understand as you start your own businesses and as you try to make money on your own. Well, we just worked on a great lesson on finding unit rates and being able to solve problems. Thanks for doing this math lesson with us. I'm John Hatch. Bye.
Hello everyone, my name is Ms. Shiva. I'm here with Kansas City Public Schools, and this is Science for 5th and 6th grade. Today you will learn that consumers get energy to live by eating other organisms, and that the path of energy from one organism to another is shown in a food chain. Also, you will be able to construct the food chain and explain how energy flows through the chain. and we're here in Kansas City Zoo.
Our planet is covered with living things from large organisms to very small. All living things have one thing in common: they cannot survive alone. You already know that all living things need energy to grow and survive. Energy gives us power to do different things. You have learned about producers and consumers and decomposers. So all living things can be divided into 3 groups. Producers make their own food. Plants, algae, and some bacteria are all producers. Most producers produce energy through photosynthesis, which is the creation of sugar molecules, through the chemical process that requires carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. Any living thing that cannot make its own food must eat other living things to survive. We call them consumers. Consumers cannot produce food directly from the sun's energy. They must eat other organisms, such as plants and animals, to get energy. And another type of consumers are decomposers. When organisms die or produce waste, decomposers break them apart into nutrients. And examples of the decomposers are bacteria, worms, and mushrooms. Well, let's talk more about consumers. Herbivores are plant eaters. Herbivores eat producers like plants: zebra, deer, camel, rabbit. This is all examples of herbivores. Herbivores meaning they get their food from eating plants. Carnivores are meat eaters. Carnivores eat other consumers. Examples of carnivores can be a tiger, cheetah, certain type of snakes, wolves. They are all carnivores, meaning they get their food from eating other animals. Omnivores are plant and animal eaters. Omnivores eat both other animals and plants. Example can be raccoon, pig, chicken. They all are omnivores. Most humans are omnivores as well. They eat producers like fruits and vegetables, and consumers like cow and chickens. Decomposers are omnivores that eat dead organisms and other waste. Decomposers like fungus and bacteria break down waste, dead plants, and animals for food. Decomposers are very important because they recycle nutrients back into the ecosystem. How to remember the name of the consumers? There's a little trick. Herbivore has word herb in it, which is plant. Carnivore has the prefix carni, which comes from the Latin word for meat. And omnivore has the prefix omni, which means everything. So omnivores eat everything. But how we connect all these consumers? In science, we use different kind of scientific models to show how things work. For example, this globus is a scientific model of our Earth. So we use a model called a food chain to show eating relationship in an ecosystem. What does a food chain shows us? A food chain shows how each living thing gets its own food. It shows who is eating who. The arrow means is eaten by. The arrows always point to the organism that is doing the eating. Let's create an example of simple food chain. So sun gives energy to a plant. Plants are producers. So we have a consumer, grasshopper, and it's also herbivore. Plant got eaten by a grasshopper. So producer got eaten by herbivore. Grasshopper got eaten by bird. Or bird ate a grasshopper. So bird is consumer and it is omnivore. Snake ate bird, or bird got eaten by the snake. Snake is a carnivore. And snake got eaten by owl, or owl ate snake, and owl is a carnivore. When owl dies, it's going to be decomposed by decomposers. Guys, for your homework, I want you to construct a food chain. Label all producers and consumers in your food chain. Also, label what consumers in your food chain are carnivore, omnivore, herbivore, and decomposer. Also, explain how producers, consumers, and decomposers from your food chain connected with each other. And important, don't forget that everything starts from the sun. Okay guys, let's summarize it. Today we have learned that consumers get energy to live by eating other organisms. We also have learned that the path of energy from one organism to another is shown in a scientific model called a food chain. And now you can construct a simple food chain and explain how energy flows through the chain. It has been my pleasure to have you guys in a science class today. My name is Ms. Shiva, and I'm here with Kansas City Public Schools. I'll see you next time.
Hello, Professor Reese, back at you again, as promised. Today we're going to be talking about the African diaspora. The African diaspora. Now, we learned a little bit about the Atlantic slave trade, and I told you that those kind of went hand and foot, or like peanut butter and jelly, because this movement, shall I call it, happened during the transatlantic slave trade, but in the latter part of the slave trades. So if you look in your history books, they say this happened around 1500, but actually the diaspora didn't really get kicked off really good until around the late 1500s, early 1600s. So once again, it was part of the same initiative, the Atlantic slave trade, but now we're dispersing people, Africans, slaves, throughout the United States. So this has a bearing on you and I as we talk about our identities, our family's identities, our lineage. As we talk about that, it's all tied to this movement here. Okay, so let's dig deep. Okay, what is it, first of all? Diaspora, word that I didn't know the meaning initially. And I was like, oh, that's I'm stuck on the sound of things. I was like, oh, that's a pretty word. But in any event, diaspora, all it means is dispersion. Dispersion or spreading of individuals. So, once again, we're at the end of the transatlantic slave trade, where we've got all of these different countries that are coming over to capture and kidnap slaves. And so now we're dispersing slaves throughout the world. And this wasn't voluntary. This was involuntary. So we've got Africans that have left their continent unwillingly and are dispersed to another country in another part of the world. I can't imagine how frightening that would have been. There's more than one diaspora as well, or diaspora, excuse me. There's a Jewish diaspora. Other groups had diasporas, but the African diaspora is by far the largest diaspora and the most well-known. Okay, once again, the diaspora consists of worldwide collection of communities, basically
in Africa, those communities out of the different countries of Africa, and they displaced these people to foreign places. All right, so where did they go? North America, the Americas. We have Britain involved. We have France. We have the United Kingdom. We have Spain. We have all of these displaced Africans that are coming from the western coast of Africa, Central Africa, now what they call the Ivory Coast of Africa. We have all of these different countries coming over to collect us and take us to different places. Why? Of course, financial gain. We can once again work their plantations. We can work their sugar fields. If I think about North Carolina and the Gullahs, we can work their rice plantations. We can work their businesses, and it's free labor. Now, some of these places way back when did have what was known as indentured servants, where they actually got paid for working, and after a certain amount of time, they were granted their freedom. But that was far and few between. We're talking about an institution of slavery that it existed. And what are slaves? We ask that. Obviously, it's people that are made to work under a hostile environment and are owned by other people. Okay, so once again, it all started 1500s, 1600s. It's a mass dispersion. Now, we look at the mass dispersion of the slaves, and I bet you can't guess who has the largest number of those original descendants in their country. This is going to be a good fun fact for you and try to stump somebody. It is Brazil. Brazil has the largest number of African descendants that were taken during the African diaspora. Now, who do you think's number two? Born in the you got it. United States. United States is number two. We have the most descendants from the African diaspora right here in our country. As we go down, we see that Haiti would be next. Then Colombia, and in Colombia and Haiti, they call those descendants from the diaspora Afro-Colombians or Afro-Haitians. So they still give them that title. Okay, so this started a big movement within the United States. We had a lot of white supremacy going on. Now we've got slave owners who have us working on plantations. We have no rights. We have no say. We are just in existence and dependent upon the white man. And why? It's because, of course, we're in a different country. We don't know where we're at, and we're dependent on him for survival. Once again, this is a little bit of the map. Now, this is the big map. This is where it all started. This is the diaspora. And as you can tell from all the different arrows and all the different angles, that's us, folks. That's us going everywhere. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the African diaspora and how it was the dispersal of millions of Africans to different countries. There were 54,000, another fun fact, there were 54,000 voyages made in that period of time from the 1500s to the 1700s. The first to invade Africa, we already talked about that, kind of the Portuguese. Then we had Brazil, we had Spain, then we had the UK, United Kingdom, which of course is now Britain and all of that put together. And then we even had Spain and the Netherlands. So I think that's about it for today. I hope you got a better feel of what the African diaspora was in regards to the Atlantic slave trade. And as usual, we're going to close with an African proverb. And the proverb for today is, rising early makes the day short. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, this is Ms. Lu, and this session is for intermediate Chinese. In this semester, we're going to learn about Chinese idioms and the stories of those idioms. And we're also going to learn how to write them, how to say them, and how to use them. So today our focus is 井底之蛙. 井底之蛙. So our objective for today, students will know how to say the word and also write the word 井底之蛙, and also we will learn the story behind the idiom 井底之蛙. Things you may need, as usual, is your notebook and pencil to take notes. So if you don't have your notebook or pencil with you, you got 10 seconds to go and grab them, okay? Let's get ready to learn. Before we start the new story, I would like to review the story we learned last time with you. 熟能生巧. Do we still remember? 熟能生巧. Practice makes perfect, and skills come from practice. Okay, let's say the word together. 熟能生巧. 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 Okay, so that was the story we learned last time, and today we will learn the story of 井底之蛙. 井底之蛙的故事. So like usual, we're going to read the story together in Chinese, and then I'll explain it to you to make sure you understand. After that, we're going to write the characters together and learn how to use them in a sentence. Okay? 井底之蛙的故事. 一口废井里住着一只青蛙，它从来没有看过外面的世界。有一天，一只从海里来的大海龟看到了它。海龟对青蛙说：“青蛙对海龟说，你怎么不下来？这里非常大，非常大，非常自由，我可以在这里跳舞。”大海龟慢吞吞地说：“这么小的地方，我才不来呢。”大海龟指着大海说：“我住在大海里，无边无际。我有很多朋友住在大海里。”青蛙吃惊地看着大海龟，感觉自己很渺小。Okay? 井底之蛙的故事. So today the story is about a frog. So there was a frog living in a shallow well. He had never seen the outside world. And one day, a sea turtle saw the frog. Okay, a sea turtle from the sea, from the ocean, saw the frog. And frog said to the sea turtle, "Why don't you come down here and join with me? It's very big here. It's very spacious, it's very free, and I can dance freely here." And the sea turtle said slowly to him, "I'm not coming to such a small place." And the sea turtle pointed to the sea and said, "I live in the sea. It's boundless, and I have a lot of friends there." The frog was shocked, and he now noticed how small the place he lived was and how small he was. Okay, so that's the story of 井底之蛙. 井底之蛙. Okay, so a 井底之蛙, by the character meaning, which means a frog in a shallow well, and today it's used to describe like a person with narrow view. Okay, 井底之蛙. So we usually call some person, some people, if they have a narrow view, we call them 井底之蛙. Okay, so let's say the word together. 井底之蛙. 井底之蛙，井底之蛙。Okay, now let's write the characters together. Let's write it down on your notebook. 井底之蛙，井底之蛙。Okay, 井 very easy to write. 横横竖撇竖井 means well. Okay, 底点横撇撇竖横横斜钩点底 means bottom, so the frog was living at the bottom of the well. 之点横着斜钩 Okay, 之 means it's a character to indicate possession. Okay, 蛙竖横竖横竖提点 Okay, then the red part 横竖横 then 横竖横 Okay, 井底之蛙 One more time together. 井底之蛙 So the frog in a shallow well. So now let's see how do we use 井底之蛙 in a sentence. So first example. 人要到处走走，不要做井底之蛙 So we should go out and see the big world. We shouldn't be the frog in the shallow well that has a narrow view. Okay? 2. 上了大学，我才知道，原来我的那些想法就如井底之蛙。So after I went to college, go to university, I know that my thoughts are so naive. So it's like I had a very narrow view before. And then 3. 人不能如井底之蛙一样没有远见 So we cannot be like the frog in the shallow well who has a narrow view. We should have future plans. We should have a very wide world view. Okay, so there's 3 examples of 井底之蛙。人要到处走走，不要做井底之蛙。上了大学，我才知道，原来我的那些想法就如井底之蛙。人不能如井底之蛙一样没有远见。Okay, so this is the story of 井底之蛙. As usual, 有作业 homework. I would like you to practice writing 井底之蛙 3 times on your notebook by yourself, and also try to create a sentence by using the idiom 井底之蛙. See if you can use it. Okay, and that is the story of 井底之蛙 for today. And I am Miss Lu. It has been my pleasure to having you in my class today, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Miss Lu, and thank you to all the classroom teachers today. They will all be back next Thursday with lessons again targeted for your 5th and 6th grade students. Tune in tomorrow, Friday, for the Real World Learning Show for secondary students. Thank you all at home for joining us. Have a great day, and remember, continue learning throughout the day.
Hello, we're happy to have you visit Carver. We are a dual language school where our students become truly bilingual and biliterate.
Welcome to Carver Dual Language.
Hola, bienvenido al primer grado en Carver. Welcome to first grade in Carver. In kindergarten and first grade, all students learn to read and write in Spanish.
Welcome to fourth grade at Carver. In fourth grade, our students have the opportunity to join our robotics team. Our students work together on a community project and learn to code a robot's movements.
By sixth grade, Carver students are truly bilingual and biliterate. Students can fluently speak, read, and write in both Spanish and English. Carver students move on to much success in middle school, high school, and beyond.
We celebrate Hispanic heritage throughout the year at Carver Dual Language. Each year, students develop a plan to make goods to develop and to sell at our Mercado. This is our annual fall market that classes have booths that students come together and sell their items that they've created. Staff, community members, family, parents, grandparents, all can come together, buy the goods, and celebrate Hispanic heritage together.
In Carver, we have an involved PTA where parents and families can be part of our school community.
Thank you for joining us on this tour. If you would like to schedule a personal tour or learn more about our school, please call 816-418-4925.
will teach you anything, even if that's not their subject. After school, you can always go to them and ask, oh, can you help me on this problem? I really don't understand it. And if you're feeling down, I'll always be here. And there's other people because there's a lot of people that are nice. Even if they're not in your grade, they'll still talk to you.
There's so much diversity, and even though there's a lot of diversity, everyone is kind to each other. And the teachers are still kind to us too.
Well, one of my vice principal helped me do math. I didn't used to know really math. She told me that if I try math hard, I'll get it. And then I told her I can't. She said I will, and then I tried to cry it out. I told her I can't. And she said she teach me. I listened to her. I told her I can't, and then she said you can do this. And then I said okay. And then I tried it, and it was really fun. I really like math now. I'm trying to be a math teacher. I want to be a tutor.
Teachers, they help us to be a good student because they can help you through life and they can teach you lots of things.
I was struggling with one of my math work, and I told my teacher about it. She was like, "You don't give up." And then I tried. It was kind of hard, so I went to, and then the teacher made a morning meeting where we go to her meeting, and she helped us out with whatever we need help with.
I'll tell them to try something they never do. I'll prove them the school is better for them, just for the future. I want them to see how it is about school. I want them to feel good about school.
It's a really amazing school, and it's probably the best school that anyone would go to.
My teacher is Miss Cunningham, and one thing that I like about Miss Cunningham is that she helps me. She helps me through math, even though I'm really hard at it, and she helps me through everything that I've been through this week.
What surprised me the most about Gladstone Elementary School out of the other school I went to is everyone. Everyone helps people when they're down. The teachers help you. Some of my other school, they didn't do that. The principal helps. They make good subjects. They even made a day where they even made culture day. Every school celebrates that, but Gladstone is different. It's like a dream country. It's like a dream come true here at the school.
The teachers will always help you, no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's not their subject. They will teach you after school if the other teacher's not there for you.
Whittier Elementary, you see all these nice people, and really they communicate with you and teach you things that you haven't learned.
You will learn a lot in a day here, and then we might go over it, but that's the best part, for you can know everything about it. So we'll go over it, and if you don't understand it, we'll go over it again.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.